Hey, it's Jeff Zito, and thanks for checking out another episode of the Celebrity Jobber podcast. And past episodes are available up on CelebrityJobber.com. Follow us on Instagram, Celebrity Jobber Podcast, and of course, YouTube.com/the@Celebrity Jobber. What if these celebrities didn't make it in the profession that made them famous? Eric Hosmer was a professional baseball player. The Kansas City Royals selected him with the 3rd overall pick in the 2008 MLB draft. He finished 3rd place in the Rookie of the Year balloting in 2011, where he hit .293 with 19 home runs in 128 games. Won consecutive Gold Glove awards from 2013 through 2015, then again in 2017, when he also won the Silver Slugger Award, the MVP of the 2016 MLB All-Star Game, and a member of the 2015 World Series champion Kansas City Royals. What if my guest today, Eric Hosmer, didn't make it in professional baseball? What might have become of him? What was his big break? What does he think was his defining moment, in baseball? What's he doing now? Eric retired from Major League Baseball just a couple of years ago. He's only 34 years old. So why so soon? We'll find out. Not to mention, what was Eric's first job? Paying taxes to Uncle Sam. We'll find out all of that coming up with my guest, Eric Hosmer, right here on Celebrity Jobber.
The Celebrity Jobber Podcast with Jeff Zito. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, give a 5-star rating, and leave a review. Check out all our past episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you pod. What if these celebrities weren't famous? What would they have become? What was their first job? We're about to find out.
Hey, how we doing?
How's it going, man?
Doing all right. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I always love talking to professional athletes on this podcast because it's about, celebrities' first jobs. And a lot of the time when I talk to, professional baseball player, a lot of the times their first paying job might have been a check from Major League Baseball. Was that the case for you?
Yeah, that is exactly the case for me.
So what, you're 17, 18 years old, and the very first time you paid taxes to Uncle Sam was a signing bonus or something from the Kansas City Royals getting drafted?
Absolutely. I had no idea about anything about any of that until that first year with Kansas City Royals, and then all of a sudden, my agent's telling me to get a hold of my CPA. I don't know what that means, but I have to call some person, and we got to do all this kind of paperwork. So I guess that was the first time of me being a grown-up and an adult and understanding what the real world's all about.
Right. Now, you went to high school, in South Florida, and you got drafted right out of high school, correct?
Yep, got drafted 2008 out of American Heritage.
And if you didn't get drafted, where were you going to go to college? Did you have a plan on going somewhere if Major Leagues didn't come calling that year?
Yeah, so I was signed to go to Arizona State. Pat Murphy, who's the manager of the Milwaukee Brewers, was actually the coach of Arizona State for then. And then the Josh Holliday, Matt Holliday's brother, Jackson Holliday's uncle, was actually the recruiting coordinator. So I was going to Arizona State with those two guys. And if pro ball didn't work out and I didn't sign at that point in time, that's where I was going to end up.
Okay. Well, that wouldn't have been a bad place to end up, tell you the truth. You probably had a good time there.
Yeah. That was a great time. And, luckily I got to have some spring trainings out there in Arizona, so Tempe wasn't too far away. So I always got to check in with those guys and get to see what was going on down there in Tempe.
Right on. So what about before baseball? Was your father a good baseball player? What did your parents do? They athletic?
So my dad actually was a college basketball player. He played at University of Iowa for a little bit. My mother is from Cuba, and as everybody knows, Cubans are extremely passionate about baseball, and that's kind of the number one sport for us Cubans. And my grandfather and I would during holidays, he would always show me videos of the Cuban Professional League, and we would watch guys like Kendrys Morales, who I ended up being teammates with. So, I was glued to the Cuban Baseball League at a young age, and then having the opportunity to play with a guy like Kendrys was really a dream come true.
Right on. Well, what about if baseball didn't work out? Did you ever think about that, or were you just too young and riding the wave where you're like, oh man, I'm gonna try to go into this career or that career? Because I know you have transitioned into a new career after baseball, which I want to talk about in a bit. But when you were at that age, were you thinking like real job or no?
No, I think you're still kind of lost in the wave, like you were saying. But, I always knew if baseball didn't work out, my dad was a firefighter, and I kind of wanted to do the same thing that he did. So I think that would have been the route that I would have ended up taking. But I think when you're lost in the sauce and you're 17, 18 years old and your head's down and you're just kind of telling yourself you're the best and no one can beat you, you try not to have those thoughts creep into your mind too much.
Right. Well, this is something I wanted to add. I mean, you're a young guy, man. You're 34 years old and you retired, was it last year? So why'd you retire at such a young age? Because you definitely have more gas in the tank.
Yeah, I think ultimately, you want to make an impact on the game. And I found myself the last couple of years of my career being that role guy, not playing every single day. So I found myself a lot on the bench talking to a lot of the younger guys. And I really enjoyed getting to know those guys and really trying to keep their perspective in line and keep them ready for when their opportunities came. And, I just felt that I always want to give back to baseball. I'm super thankful for the game and everything it's gave me. So how can I give back to the game to make an impact? And I felt like, this media route, starting something on my own and something that I don't have to be guarded. I can say exactly how I feel and something that I own. So, I can let it all out there, and I want to make that impact, continue to make that impact on the game. And I feel this will give me the opportunity to expand on that, not just with the guys I've played with before or the guys that I'm familiar with that have the ability to pick up the phone, shoot me a text, shoot me a call, whatever it is. Now if I can have that young guy or that coach that's coaching that young guy log on to YouTube or whatever it is that they watch the show on, maybe it can help these guys out a little bit. And, we're going to cover the game in every which way as far as telling stories about players and sharing insight on stuff that's happening throughout the years, throughout the days of the game. So it's a fun opportunity for me to stay involved.
Okay, so we're talking about your new endeavor. It's called Moonball Media. And it a lot of people, there's a lot of different ways to describe digital, right? Digital can mean anything. So your digital media company is basically going to be a channel where you're going to host your own sports shows, but you're also going to have, or you've acquired a lot of other content that you're going to be putting on the channel. Is that right?
Yeah, so we're just going to tell stories in every which way. There's basically, there's three main buckets, so to speak, and it's obviously the long-form documentary type things, the social short stuff that people quickly see on the internet, and then the live stuff. So that's kind of where, I'm really honing in on is the podcast side of it, the live side of it, just really getting to share my insight on the game, getting to share some of the unique stories from players in the game. And then my partner, Anthony Saratelli, we played together in the minor leagues, has been in the production side of this business for about 10 plus years. So he really is, super talented and with the vision of bringing that vision to camera, bringing that to the screen and the production and everything behind it. So we have a lot of exciting opportunities outside the podcast as well. We just, Cal Ripken Jr. just agreed to be an executive producer on a long-form doc that we're now going to create. So we have a lot of really fun projects and a lot of different ways to tell these type of stories that we're excited about.
You must have had other opportunities, Eric, with, like TV, radio. How come you picked digital?
Yeah, just something that, like I was telling you before, something that can be my own and something that, I can do my way. I think that was one of the things I was really passionate about, that if I was going to join this space and, join the media world, I want to do it my way. I don't want to have to be guarded in any which way. I want to really share my insight with the fans and just do it as me and not guarded in any type of way. So I felt like this was the best possible scenario for that to happen.
I got two more questions for you, Eric. I want to know in your baseball career, can you remember a specific home run or a specific moment where things changed for you? Maybe you would consider that pitch or that moment your quote-unquote big break?
Man, I tell you what, I'm going to keep this one simple and just go back to my rookie year. I had my first home run in New York off of A.J. Burnett, and really that's when it all kind of came full circle for me because I grew up in South Florida. A.J. Burnett was one of my favorite pitchers at one point in time. I tried to pitch like him and everything with my front leg turning towards second base as I was delivering the ball. Homered in Yankee Stadium, which the Yankees were my favorite team growing up. My dad is from New York, so we got to go up there in the summers and watch Yankee games, and that was really the first time that I saw a full-packed stadium, and that atmosphere really drew me to baseball. So homering in Yankee Stadium off my favorite team at my favorite place, off one of my favorite pitchers, that's really where it came full circle to me, like, wow, I just did this, and I'm in the major league.
That's great. That's a great story. When it was over for you, did you find it hard? Did you miss the locker room? Did you miss the guys? Mentally, can you describe that feeling? And do you have advice for other players, whether they're in college or professionals that are going through the same thing when it's over? Yeah,
I still felt that, there could have been opportunities out there. I think I could have got an opportunity to go make a club this spring. But ultimately, I just felt like my impact, I felt like I wanted to make a bigger impact on the game. And to me, you don't have to be a player to make that type of impact on the game. You can make that impact as a coach. You can make that impact in the media space, covering the game, promoting the game in every which way. So that's kind of what I wanted to do. And I felt myself really feel passionate about that. Baseball is a game that, I credit a lot of things that I've been fortunate to do in my life because of baseball. So I feel like that the way that we're covering baseball nowadays has gotten away from the actual play on the field and how talented some of these young guys are. I think it's a lot more now on the business side and contracts and negotiations. So for me, I just want to kind of really hone in on that baseball fan that wants to put all that stuff aside and really just lock in on the game and learn what's happening on the game. And, that's what I hope to create with this. And, I just hope to continue to promote our players in the game and the game itself.
But what do you miss the most, Eric, about, going to the field every day? Is there one particular thing you just miss the most?
Yeah, great point. And honestly, I think that was going to be the last part of my answer that I didn't say. It's that locker room, the interaction in the locker room, just being there with the guys, being on the bus, being on the plane, doing all that, having that fun back and forth with all those guys. But, I've gotten some days now where last Sunday I was home by myself. The wife and the kid were out doing something, so I got to watch baseball all day and interact with fans on X, and that was fun. That was kind of like that fun locker room banter. And even with media personalities, it's fun to go back and forth and share your opinion, share my opinion, and the whole baseball world can see it all.
It's called Moonball Media. And where can people watch and listen to your podcasts?
Yeah, so we're on all the platforms, the audio platforms, Spotify, Apple, obviously YouTube, that's a big one. Pretty much everywhere you guys listen to your mainstreaming platforms, we can be on there. We are on there.
Awesome, man. Great talking to you. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. And good luck with everything.
All righty. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So, pretty smart guy, Eric Hosmer. I got to tell you, he could have gone into TV. He could have been a commentator. He could have done something like that. He chose to go his own route into digital. And, when you say the word digital, it's a lot. I mean, it means the internet. He has a few different ways that he's putting content out there. But one of those ways being his podcast. It's called Digging Deep. And I checked it out. It's pretty cool. When people are talking or thinking about their favorite baseball players, they're thinking stats, they're talking, home runs and coaches and teams and stuff like that. What Eric does with Digging Deep is really cool. It's just like the title of the podcast, suggests. He's going deep with this stuff. He's talking about getting traded from San Diego. His wife's pregnant. He's got to fly to Boston where they traded him. They got this kid, Tristan Casas, who's a first baseman and kind of a big stud and a young guy, and he's going to be playing there at first base. So they're going to want Eric to be kind of a mentor to him, and they're going to try to find another place for Eric to go. So going to Boston is just kind of a quick thing, moving across the country, wife's having a baby, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it was like, stuff you don't think about. It's like, I was like really impressed with some of the content that he was providing in his podcast, Digging Deep, which is on his own media platform, Moonball Media. Check it out, moonballmedia.com. It seemed like Eric, kind of stopped playing baseball at a young age because, there were some injuries. He was having some back problems. He noticed that he wasn't the everyday player on the field anymore. He was more of a role guy. He had a role, meaning, he would come in certain situations only. He's now the older guy talking to some of the younger guys. Pretty much that's why he retired at the age, of 33 or 34, whatever he is. Drafted right out of high school, never had a first job. His first paycheck that he ever got was from the Kansas City Royals when he got drafted out of American Heritage High School in 2008. So I thought that was pretty cool. If not for baseball, he probably would have, followed in his dad's footsteps, he said, become a firefighter. His big break, I don't know if it was a big break as far as what really put him on the map, but he's in Yankee Stadium. It's his rookie year. It's his favorite team growing up. AJ Burnett's pitching. That was one of his favorite pitchers. He pitched for the Florida Marlins at the time when, Eric was growing up in South Florida. He hits his first major league home run off AJ Burnett. And, there he is in Yankee Stadium with his dad there. And he said it was like full circle. So I thought that was a pretty cool story. And, the biggest thing that Eric is, going to miss from, Major League Baseball, it's the same as, a lot of levels in baseball, whether you stop playing, whether you're, in high school or college or the big leagues, the guys, the atmosphere, the dugout, on the bus, the hotels, the road trips, the guys. That's what Eric said he missed the most about Major League Baseball. But, he seems like he's cool. He's moved on. He's got his own thing with Moonball Media and the podcast, Digging Deep. Pretty cool. Check it out. So thank you so much for checking out another edition of the Celebrity Jobber podcast, which is streaming on all platforms. You can also follow on Instagram or the YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/the@celebrityjobber. All of our past episodes are also online at celebrityjobber.com. And please subscribe. Would love a 5-star rating and leave a review. Eric Hosmer, very cool guy. Check out his podcast, Digging Deep. Well, that's going to do it for me. Thanks for listening to this podcast, the Celebrity Jobber Podcast. And I'll see you next week. I'm Jeff Zito.